everyone, Jam here. Welcome back to the ESL and ELL Program 1. The name of this program is Establishing a Pedagogical Trajectory. For those who don't know, ESL is English as a Second Language, and ELL is English Language Learners. There's a difference. We'll get into that in later programs. And pedagogy is simply teaching philosophy, style, and belief and approaches. So these programs are an introduction to you from me of my teaching beliefs and style and approaches. Not so much what I teach, but how I teach. So we left off on part 1 talking about ZPD, the zone of proximal development. You may ask yourself, what does ZPD have to do with improving English? Well, I'm going to tell you, it's about you focusing on what you already know. That's the foundation. And emphasizing what you already know, you can devise more specific questions about what you want to learn. The exact next steps you want to take. What it is exactly you want to do with your newfound knowledge. Or in this case, your newly improved English speaking ability. That brings us to part 2 of the program, the Trivium. The Trivium is my way of sort of decoding and testing your existing knowledge and desires about attaining new knowledge. The Trivium is part of the 7 liberal arts. The 7 liberal arts were devised in medieval universities. We no longer teach the 7 liberal arts in universities. But guess what else was devised in those same medieval universities alongside the 7 liberal arts? The English language. The very thing you're trying to improve was created in the climate of the Trivium. These are the governing rules and the foundation of the English language. Proto-English, Old English, Dramatic English, Middle English, you name it, they're all bound to the more antecedent 7 liberal arts. Learn the 7 liberal arts by default. You learn the mechanisms of the English language. But let's start slow. Many of you know what the 7 liberal arts are. Many of you may not. We're going to start from the beginning to make sure everyone's on the same page. This can get tricky, so if you already know, don't get too far ahead of me. Let's go one step at a time together. Go look at the diagram. That represents 5 senses. Any observation enters our mind, it must go through the 5 senses. So if it doesn't go through the senses, if you have a thought or a belief or an opinion that wasn't gathered or can't be tested and proven through the 5 senses, what do you have? It's called nonsense. That's what it's called. So, first step is to look at that diagram and ask yourself questions about what do you believe, what do you think you know, and where was that information gathered, and how can you prove it? So, the Trivium specifically is that 3 you see there. That 3 is made up of 3 parts: grammar, logic, rhetoric. Or you've probably seen it written: knowledge, wisdom, understanding, input, processing, output. It's the Trivium. And it must be in that order too. General grammar. What's going on here? We're learning English. Logic. Bringing full and intimate understanding to the body of knowledge by systematically eliminating all contradictions in it. So, we're learning English. So we obviously don't know everything we want to know about English. That would be a contradiction. For if we did, it wouldn't be anything to learn. Rhetoric. Communicating this comprehensive knowledge and understanding to others in order to utilize, gain insights in the real world. So the rhetoric will be, I want to learn English because I want to be a big, rich man who speaks great English, or a big, rich woman who speaks great English and tells my employees what to do. and has a commanding presence in the room through my perfect English speaking ability. This is a very valid desire. And this is part of what the ZPD was, to get to the point of where you can formulate those desires and lay it out on the line like that. So, how do we eliminate contradictions? How do we test what we're doing? How do we know if what we're saying is all nonsense or if it's proven fact? Well, it's called the scientific method. And the scientific method is observing reality, generating hypothesis, extrapolate, which means you want to come up with some type of theory after you've observed reality, but it's still a theory until you can verify the theory as fact in a repeatable experiment, that every time you repeat that experiment you get the same results. How does this trivium apply to learning English language? Well, we have to test our theories. Some of the theories people have about the English language is that you're supposed to speak it a certain way, and when you look like this guy and talk like this guy, you get this. But can you prove that theory? So we have to understand how many of your English language desires are based on facts and just theories, or how many are provable and how many are attainable. Because as you begin to learn this language, you're going to run to positions where your contradictions are going to meet themselves, your doubts, or the outcomes you were hoping for. It's not going to be something that is going to stand up to closer scrutiny if you haven't applied the theory. So here's your homework. Go online, read about the Trivium. You're going to either search for the 7 liberal arts or search for the Trivium. Familiarize yourself with these concepts. Try to get the grasp of the questions about English, your specific questions about English. Try to visualize what you want to do, how you want to speak. That helps the teacher give you a customized, individualized curriculum and lesson plan to reach that specific goal. What are your aspirations? And do your aspirations stand up to the scientific method? They could, or they could not. I don't know. Re-examine everything. Test the tools of knowing. That's the trivium. Next time we'll go into the quadrivium, that 4 that you see on the triangle. And remember, I'm not the sage on the stage, I'm the guide on the side. Until next time, all the best.